So as everybody knows, Barbie just came out.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
And regrettably, I spent 2 hours in the theater watching this last week. For me, it was a 3 out of 10 movie. Ryan Gosling had a couple parts that made me laugh, but it was like extremely boring and flat, especially for a kid's movie. And that's the thing about Barbie. It's 2 hours of a pretty intense feminist agenda hidden in a children's movie.
Women are losing their fundamental rights, at least in my country. We still don't make equal pay. The famous island of Crete had a matriarchy where they didn't go to war.
Now, on the other hand, you have someone like Andrew Tate.
Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway. Not to sit there and cry your eyes out or blame other people.
Some would say he's a misogynist. Others would say he's exactly what is needed to balance out a world where being masculine, being a man, is under fire. And look, I'm not even saying that he's right and they're wrong. I'm just saying that it's interesting that Barbie has been widely praised by all mainstream media and Hollywood critics. It's already made $775 million in the box office. And then Andrew Tate, who you could say is preaching the opposite message of Barbie, he was censored, then canceled from all social media platforms, and then arrested. And honestly, I'm kind of conflicted about this whole woke culture war because on one hand, I don't think it matters at all, but on the other hand, it definitely does matter. Like if all of us could just take extreme responsibility for our own life, tune out the outside noise, and stay focused on our own path, then who really cares what like the media or Hollywood is saying, right? It doesn't really matter. But on the other hand, the reality is that the majority of men are going to grow up watching Hollywood and watching mainstream media, and probably most of them are going to be strongly affected by this matrix programming that's telling them to be weaker and that being masculine and being a man is kind of a bad thing. But look, I know there's one thing that will help every man grow stronger and escape the matrix programming. It's called Greens Plus Test, and it's a new supplement that just dropped for Gains Club today. That means it's time to throw away your generic greens powder and pick up the only green supplement formulated specifically for men like me and you. Just to be clear, for men, not for kin. This is basically an all-in-one daily green supplement formulated specifically to optimize men's health. With added testosterone support from KSM 66 ashwagandha and Tongat Ali extract, this is going to help boost muscle growth, energy, and overall vitality. It also includes prebiotics and organic fibers for healthy digestion, nutrient absorption, and gut health. And as a busy individual, I love the added nootropic ingredients that enhance mental performance and focus without any crash or jitters. And for just $150 per serving, this is definitely a no-brainer. It's basically like eating your daily veggies without having to spend all the money on them or wasting all your time preparing them. And with this delicious green apple flavor, you can finally say goodbye to gross greens powders. This one slaps. And because you're watching my video, I'm gonna hook you up with a coupon code to get 10% off at checkout. We also offer some crazy bundles for even bigger discounts with the pre-workout and the protein powder. Just click that first link in description to level up your total health with Gains Club Greens Plus Test. All right, so what is the answer here? What is the point that I'm trying to make in this video? Well, 100%, I think the priority needs to be living a hardworking, virtuous life as a man. And if you watch my videos, you probably watch other male self-improvement content, and you've probably already had it, drilled through your head that you need to be disciplined. You need to wake up every day and do the work, regardless whether you have the motivation or not. That is what's going to make you successful in the long term. But what's not talked about enough, and I think it's sad, is the importance of also being virtuous, being a good fucking person who has a strong moral compass in every situation. It's like the age-old example. You're on the playground, there's the one bully who's beating up the little kid. Someone has to go over there and tell him, hey man, pick on someone your own size. And I think that's something we need to remind ourselves of more, that as we level up and we get more money and we have more choice in women, it's not just about getting the Bugatti and hooking up with a bunch of girls. It is about, as we have more influence and power and money, making sure that we're using these new resources to continue to impact the world in like a positive way with virtue. And a big part of this is denying degenerate habits like jerking off to porn, playing hours and hours of video games, doing a bunch of drugs, because the access to these things has become easier and easier. You could say this is kind of an agent of the matrix. They want to keep men, suppressed and distracted doing these degenerate things, and also raising the next generation to have these same virtues and morals, which is one reason I feel kind of obliged to be a father and make sure that I bring strong and virtuous sons and daughters into this world. But regardless of whether or not you have children, if you can lead by example and you can be an example of a good, virtuous, strong man, I think that is going to have a bigger impact on the people around us than trying to argue with them about woke culture being wrong or this thing being bad or that thing being good. And that 100% needs to be the priority authority, man, because that's what's going to have a positive impact on people. But what about the bigger picture here? Because it seems pretty obvious that the most powerful people in governments and corporations, they've already decided, like, you know, what's right and what's wrong and what message we're going to propagate to the masses. And as a side note, because it does seem a bit odd that all of these different corporate bodies are embracing these same woke ideologies, well, if you look at Vanguard and BlackRock, they are the top shareholders, the top owners of a lot of the main corporations, from Apple to Pfizer to Facebook to Disney to Fox. The point being, that's one possible explanation about why the entire matrix is all on the same page. It's the same people at the top. And again, they agree what's right and what's wrong. Women good, men bad. Vaccines good. Too much free speech bad. Meaningless sex good. Disagreement and discussion bad. Diversity good, unless it's diversity of thought and opinion. That's bad. Everybody needs to believe the same thing. And just to be clear, when it comes to Republican versus Democrat, because I know there's going to be comments about this, I think both sides are fucked, man. Yes, they keep us arguing about things like abortion and border control, but I think on 99% of the issues, they're answering to the same corporate interests. They're propagating these endless wars for profit that they say are humanitarian efforts. Like, bro, when is the last time a war was humanitarian? And it's funny to me because when I was growing up, I always considered myself very liberal because I was against things like unjust wars and censorship. But apparently now that makes me align more with like conservatives versus liberals. I don't know what's happening to the world, but I digress. The point I'm making is that I have lost faith more and more every year in the institutions that were created in order to protect us and, you know, protect the rights of the people. And the really sad thing is I don't see any obvious answer or path forward in terms of how we protect the future of the world and the future of our children, because it seems like, you know, these governments and these corporations, they've already decided, you know, what they want to happen. And even through, you know, the pandemic, where I think a lot of people were kind of awoken to the different corporate interests, myself even to another level, it seems they're still doubling down on the same damn plan, regardless of how much lies come out that they've propagated. You know, we were told many times that if you just get then it's impossible to get the virus. We were told this Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian propaganda and misinformation. We were told there's no chance the virus was created in a lab. That is a conspiracy theory. And not only were we told these things, but anyone who questioned them was censored and banned, even on social media platforms. Even though in each of these scenarios, we know who was right and who was wrong. And we never got an apology. We never got any ownership for spreading the wrong information. And it's kind of depressing talking about these things, man. So I must go back to my main point here. We should always focus on the things that we have full control over. Of course, that is why I have Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, tattooed on my arm. As he said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So I'm gonna go back to grinding, staying focused on my path, trying to level up my life for not just myself, but for my family, my friends, and anyone who I can influence. I don't like to talk about these type of things too much, especially in this day and age when it's a bit dangerous, you could say. Now, if you're trying to be the strongest version of yourself possible, then I'd recommend you check out this video next. It's about why ages 21 to 28 are make or break for most men. Check that video out and make sure to grab your daily greens with the first link in description. I'll see you in the next video. Stay beastly.